there are a lot of economical issues, a lot of social issues that have to be dealt with. I'm the chairwoman of the Child Committee, and for instance, many issues there have been stuck for many years. For instance, children from birth to the age of 3 was not taken care of for many years in a good way. So now we are starting to deal with that, with the healthcare of all of children in Israel. That's for one thing. We're going to deal with other issues such as repairing laws that, for instance, I know that you might have heard of the Minister of Justice is about to pass a legislation that a prime minister won't be able to rule for more than 8 years. Something that around the world is especially in the States, something that goes without saying. Here in Israel, we just don't have that. Prime Minister can be in his role for forever if he wants to. So now this is a bill that is about to arrive to the Knesset. That's one example. So there are many issues. I think that the most important thing that we have to deal here in the Knesset is the unity. I think that the former government didn't do enough.
Yeah, I want to jump in there because how do you answer those that say one of the reasons that the coalition, this very diverse coalition, was able to unify, for example, on the budget is because of the pressures it faced of possible collapse. But now that that's gone, this diversity, the fact that there are parties more on the right, as your NewHope Party is, others more on the left, that those differences are going to come to the fore now, especially on what we call the peace and security issues.
No, I think that every minister that stepped into its office, including members of Knesset, we see that there are many issues that we have to deal with after the COVID. We are still in the COVID. The COVID is still here with all its problems that it's bringing us. We can see that there is no even one office that I can say that actually worked. If I'm looking at the healthcare, if I'm looking at education, so many things that has to be done, and the previous government didn't even touch. So I think that this government is here to stay, and it's here to stay because we must, for the citizens of Israel. I don't think that there isn't even one citizen that thinks that now elections or in a year elections, it's something that we need.
Right. I want to go back to your role as the head of the Special Committee for the Rights of the Child. You've called it the most important committee in the Knesset. You just got the first reading passed of a law that would remove the statute of limitations on bringing charges against sex abuses against minors, which had been set at 10 years. Talk about why you see that as such an important law.
First of all, and again, this is an issue that wasn't and nobody actually touched or dealt with in the past year, and now we are dealing with something that unfortunately is wider than we should have in such a small country as Israel. Or at all, by the way, in any country. But if I see Israel in 10 million citizens, this is something that we shouldn't have to deal with in such levels, which unfortunately we do. Right now, if we're talking about a criminal process, a child that dealt with criminal process can't sue after a time. It just doesn't have right to sue what he needs. So this law is giving the child or the grown-up that was abused as a child the time to sue what's right for him.
I'd like to just ask you about I think you could call it a different kind of abuse, and that is the controversy surrounding your fellow lawmaker in the coalition, Idit Silman, who says that whom we know that has suffered certainly abusive texts and emails and approaches. Now is controversy over saying that she was accosted at a gas station. Benjamin Netanyahu now saying she has to produce proof. proof, Prime Minister Bennett, backing her on this. I'd like you to relate to that, the treatment she's receiving, and whether you yourself, as a member of the coalition, as the member of a party on the right, and as a woman, have been subject to similar abuse.
Unfortunately, yes. Myself as well, and especially in the internet, especially in the social medias. Again, the language that people use and the language that politicians use and former ministers use, words have powers. And once they don't understand that and they keep talking the way that they do, they keep making people who think that maybe they might support the opposition or a former prime minister by hurting other politicians. And it starts with words, it starts with the web, it starts with social medias, and it could end on the street or in a gas station. That is something that we have to stop immediately. You cannot act in violence, and violence is words, and violence is something that can happen physically, and this is something that must be stopped.
All right, Knesset member Michal Shir, thank you for joining us on i24 News.